Hi, my name is Molly Grettenberger,
And I'm Sheridan Brown.
and we're here to tell you about our research.
So, why we developed the study in the first place is we're looking at a lot of research that was touching on the negative impacts of social isolation and loneliness on humans in the world. This actually was totally devised before the COVID-19 pandemic was ever a thing. So it was really interesting to have kind of conducted this whole study that was developed about social isolation, and then to witness sort of what happened as the world experienced social isolation on a global scale. So we were looking at ways to combat the negative effects of social isolation. And so two things that stood out again and again in the research that we looked at were movement synchrony and then also singing, both separately identified as ways that were effective in increasing feelings of social bonding and connectedness in groups of people. So we wanted to look at whether there's a role that movement synchrony naturally plays in group singing. How do those two things combine?
So we had two small groups of participants come into the biomechanics lab. We placed a small motion capture sensor on a little fabric headband on their heads, and then we had each group, they were groups of four, sing 3 simple songs together a cappella while we captured the movement of their head. And then after they were finished singing, we did a brief interview with each group about what were their biggest takeaways from the experience, and then we also asked some more specific questions about moments of connection and moments of disconnection during singing. So there was a familiar group of individuals where they signed up as a group of 4, they knew each other prior to the study, they came in and sang together, and then there was an unfamiliar group who signed up as individuals, and when they showed up to the study, there were 3 people that they didn't know, ideally, before coming into the study.
Yeah, I think the larger focus, is the feasibility results. Did it work? Were we able, because we were kind of trying something that hadn't really been done before with this, measuring the head movement while people are singing. So did we find anything at all with that? Was that effective? That was sort of the bigger picture that this study was hoping to address.
There were some things that we would change for next time if we were to scale up the study, but generally the participants were able to sing all 3 songs. They were teachable within the allotted time, and then the interview captured what we were hoping to capture, which was some general information about what their subjective experience was like, and then also moments of connection and disconnection. And then the motion capture data also captured movement of the head, which was what we were hoping for.
And so it was interesting to see there were definitely pairs of people in each of the groups that stood out as potentially being more in sync with each other than the other members of the group. And so that's been interesting then to look at her interview data and see, were those participants who we were identifying in the numerical data who seemed to be more in sync, were they reporting that when Molly was asking them questions or not?
I will say, however, that both groups and all members of both groups reported having an experience of social connectedness with the rest of the group, both in the unfamiliar group and in the familiar group. So it would be interesting to see in a scaled up version of this study if that happened across groups, or if it was different with a larger sample size.